Greetings and welcome to our third video of the class introductory series of Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade. I am Fan of the Warriors of Prophecy, and today we'll be looking at the support class for the Eldar Warhost, the Warlock. The Warlock is the glue in your Eldar army. It has several support tools to keep your Warhost rolling from capture point to capture point. As a Warlock, you don't have many weapons to choose from. You got a Witchblade, and another Witchblade. We'll be talking about them later in the loadout section of this video. The true power of the Eldar Warlock is the power of the mind. They're psychers after all. Using melee is tempting, but it's better to support your Warhost. Let's take a look at the healing powers to prevent those precious Eldar lives from being lost on the battlefield. Starting off with Renewer. Renewer is a primary single target beam heal, very good at keeping a single target alive, especially Dark Reapers as they unleash their firepower. It's good to healing any class to be honest, but as you toggle your heal, you can't do anything else. Renewer also has a very small AoE healing for people standing next to the main target, but it's more warp charge efficient if you just heal the selected wounded target instead of healing those around it. A good thing to keep in mind is that Renewer does not consume warp charges if the target HP is maxed out. Also, when healing a target that is crawling, wait until they're in cover and heal them fully up. Else they may be shot down over and over again, making you waste precious warp charges. Next up is Embolden. Embolden is an area of effect healing spell with a heal over time element to it. It stays with your allies for about 10 seconds or until they get down. It is a great cast and forget spell that lets you stay on the move and even engage in melee as you're not channeling a spell. It consumes 35 warp charges per cast. Try not to cast it several times in a row, else you'll be without warp charges in very critical moments. Now we're going to look at the support tools of the Warlock. The spell you start off with is Jinx. Jinx on his own won't do much, and it will only let the enemy know where you are. But with 2 or 3 team members on your side, Jinx will be very devastating as it increases 50% damage dealt to the source that you're affecting with Jinx. And if the enemy is standing close together, the Jinx will jump from target to target, so you'll be doing more bonus damage over a blob. Jinx does drain even though the enemy is not taking damage, so try not to use it if you have no one helping you out. Jinx also works best when combined together with Embolden, as you can cast a heal over time and then be busy debuffing the enemy team. Now let's look at the 2 spells that make the Warlock stand out from the other supports in the game, Enhance and Protect. Enhance works like Embolden. It's cast and forget area of effect. Allies hit with Enhance get a small shield visual effect on them, and whilst players are under the effect of Enhance, they take 20% less damage from any source, and they deal 20% more range damage, and only range damage. So this will not boost melee damage for melee players. Let's move on to Protect. Protect is a channeled bubble around the caster that consumes warp charges as you cast. All friendlies in the bubble take 50% less damage as long as the bubble stays up. The caster himself will take 60% less damage, but cannot run as he is casting. Protect can turn the tide when you're assaulting or defending a room, but it's very hard spell to pull off great moments with, as it requires a lot of coordination to get the most out of this spell. But when your team is working with you together, they will thank you for it also. Last, we have the offensive spells. The first offensive spell you will unlock is Force. Force will increase your melee damage. Sadly, it does take one of your support spell slots, but combining it with the damage or pen mod for your Witchblades will make you a decent melee fighter. But the other Eldar melee do a better job than you do. Don't get me wrong, it is viable, but your team could use more buffs than another body in melee. And the last power is Destructor. Destructor is a short-range toggle lightning attack that drains your warp charges as you use it. It can only hit one target at a time, but it does ignore marine storm shields and orc shields. The DPS of Destructor is almost identical to your shuriken pistol. You can just shoot Destructor longer without the need to reload. but it will drain your warp charges on every kill you make, leaving you vulnerable and unable to heal effectively. As you are working on your Warlock loadouts and you're trying to make a support build, the question always does rise: do I take more warp charges or do I take more regen? And this decision really depends on what spells you're going to take into battle. If you intend to use Renew, Jinx, Protect, or Destructor, then you want to have as a big warp charge pool you can as possible. If you're going to be focusing more on cast and forget spells like Embolden, Enhance, or Force, you want to focus on warp regen as you won't be casting as often. At the start of the video, I mentioned you can take 3 types of Witchblades. You could go for the default Witchblades and use a warp charge rune in one of your weapon slots for only 30 loadout points, which is pretty decent. You could also spend 100 extra loadout points for a mastercrafted Witchblade, which also includes 15 warp charges. And you can still slot in that warp charge rune. There's also the possibility to use the Crone Blade, a special type of Witchblade. It's usually unlocked on higher levels. It has the same cost as the default Witchblades, but it gives the wielder 25 warp charges. The only downfall of this weapon is that also your weapon damage is reduced with this weapon. And since it's a unique named weapon, you cannot mod it out, so there's no possibility to take the warp charge runes for it. As a Warlock, you can also choose not to take a pistol and save 50 loadout points for something else. What I usually tend to do is take an ammo kit. You can't consume the ammo kit to replenish your own warp charges, but what you can do is give it to an ally, like a Dire Avenger, Swooping Hawk, or Dark Reaper. Thanks for tuning in to our class introductory video about the Warlock. Just 4 more Eldar classes to go. We have read some of the feedback and will do class introductory videos of the other races in the near future. We hope to see you all on Arcona soon.